Ladies and gentlemen, a recent study came out that is saying that most young men, especially the ones in their 20s, are more likely to be single. And most young women in that same age range are not. But you know what, y'all? Things have changed dramatically just over the last few decades. When I was coming up, see, we didn't have the internet. That didn't come until much later. And so we were a lot more social. We would hang out with each other, go to each other's houses. We would, the only technology we were using really was a telephone, to call each other. But we were a lot more social than young people are today. A lot of young people today are relying more heavily on the internet to communicate with each other, using your cell phones to communicate with each other, and it was nothing like that when I was coming up. So, because we were more social back then, you saw more couples and you saw more weddings. Look, I lived near 3 churches. Back when I was a teenager, there were weddings at these churches virtually every week. You would see wedding parties, limousines going down the road virtually every single week. And I'm not exaggerating. This is every week. There was somebody getting married or some type of wedding at one or sometimes all 3 churches. It was very common to hear the horns blowing and a wedding party coming down the road. Now you can go by these same 3 churches, and these churches are still active. And all 3 churches got their doors closed on a Saturday. And it was nothing like that. Even 20, 30 years ago, it was nothing like that. And I think the internet has been good in some ways. And I think it really has taken its toll on relationships. You always had men talking crap about women and women talking crap about men. But I think what we see today, it is far, far worse. It is far worse. So let's get into this story that just came out today. More than 60% of young men are single, nearly twice the rate of unattached young women, signaling a larger breakdown in social, romantic, and sexual life in the American male. Men in their 20s are more likely than women in their 20s to be romantically uninvolved, sexually dormant, friendless, and lonely. They stand at the vanguard of an epidemic of declining marriages. And that goes back to what I was saying. These churches are not active on the weekends like they used to be. So I definitely see the declining marriages. And they're saying even intimacy and also relationships that afflict all of young America. We're in a crisis of connection.
Extraterrestrials, strange phenomena, missing persons, lost continents, myths, and monsters.
We examine these mysteries to determine, are they bullshit or not?
All right. Lisa goes on to lament the way men and women in our community interact negatively, you know, and she, goes into that, oh, in the good old days, bullshit about how we picked up phones and we were, because things were less primitive, I guess, technologically speaking, that we were We were closer together. We interacted more, And she laments the toxic exchanges between men and women in our ethnic community and shit. Yes, she does. All right. Well, when she talks about this article and everything, she fails to she fails to mention that people are able to communicate better. Actually, men are talking to other men all over the place, but particularly in our ethnic community, uh, I think she wants to discount the experience of black men. She wants to discount it. All right, and I can't really get on her about that. I can't really get on her about that because it's part of the culture that our women are unable to help us out emotionally or deal with anything and shit. They discount our experiences wholesale. Okay, they discount it. They infantilize us and whatnot. She even went into the trope about how women are taught more to seek education more, but she failed to mention that they have the biggest debt. Okay, they're the biggest group of people on the streets right now. People getting evicted. Okay, the biggest group on the streets would be the men of our group and whatnot because extenuating circumstances. But like if you have a bunch of women, as she says, trained to seek out higher education and complete and get degrees and everything, why would our ethnic community look the way it does or whatnot? It's because of their lack of discernment. Okay, lack of discernment. I'll put a clip up, right after this to show you what I think is blatant hypocrisy, and the reason for this episode because she throws rocks and hides her hand, and I don't appreciate it or whatnot because a lot of people go to the channel for news and stuff, in our community. I'm not trying to shit on it, okay? But between her and like True Royal, I got to give True Royal her flowers because when she did something that I considered egregious, I made a video about it. She responded immediately and told me I was keeping it 100, and I'll never forget that. Okay, she's a beautiful woman. Okay, I don't know her personally or anything like that, and I actually emailed her back in the day at the beginning of the pandemic, and she responded. You know, I would never do this with Lisa. Okay, because she likes to throw rocks and hide her hand and whatnot. And she did talk about the toxic exchange between men and women, but what she will never admit is that more black men are communicating with each other, talking about our issues and whatnot. And this is one of the reasons you see a sharp decline in why black men are married and everything. She never said that, maybe it was the upbringing of the women, okay? The matriarchs of this community and shit. They are the first teachers of the child. Okay, they get preferential treatment, in courts and everything. And just listening to this, I don't have to say anything, but that any black woman listening to this shit will say the bullshit line like "who hurt you" or some shit like that, or they'll try to shy away from the fact that they are the first teachers of the child. They are the leaders of our community and shit, and they don't want to take credit for the what it is today. It's a failure economically, interpersonally, spiritually as well. And she talked about how she used to always see weddings at these churches near where she resides, and that there was no such thing today. It was like a desert over there. And she failed to admit that like a lot of the pastors, these pulpit pimps, have been doing some strange shit in there. It's been a lot of sexual abuse in our ethnic community, but even more than that, the pastors lost a lot of their male, uh, you know, parishioners when they started trying to, when they pandered openly to these misandrous black women's narrative and shit, where they were telling men they had to be stepfathers to somebody else's kids and shit. You know, they had to pick up the slack. They had to get the push broom and clean up after the woman's bad decisions that she made. There ain't no denying that and shit, okay? Now, if you're gonna, if any of my listeners actually believes the fact that, Black women make black women baby mamas and shit. I have many bridges I would like to sell you. Okay, Lisa likes to throw rocks and hides her hand. And it's okay. She does what she does over there. All right, she does what she does over there. Okay, very entertaining channel. All right, very entertaining and shit. But I have to admit, I'm calling bullshit. And I'm calling you out on your fucking hypocrisy and shit. You said you don't want it. You didn't want gender war stuff on your channel, but you take pot shots and whatnot. Okay? I'm not going to play the Kevin Samuels clip, but I am going to play the clip of your opinion, of your stated opinion about, black men and shit, okay? Black men. And this Roe versus Wade shit has nothing to do with us and shit. Okay? Nothing to do with us and shit. I have an opinion about that, but this video is not the place for that. All right? I get tired, man. I get tired out. I'm making this video. I want you people out there that hear me. I want you to know, hey, it's cool. I'm not bitching about her. I'm bitching about her ideology and whatnot. The fact that she is a hypocrite and she is a misandrist. Okay, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, I don't care how you look at it. She is a misandrist. All right. Whenever some black woman shit come across her desk, she's big up in it. She's big up in it. Whether she's down with the agenda. Okay. When they come to us and whatnot, you listen to the inflection of her voice and whatnot, you can hear it. You can fucking hear it. And I'm just tired of, I'm tired. Like in our community, like we have shitheads in our community. I'm from the Shy, okay? We have a lot of people that have leashed off a lot of public people that have leashed off our community and led it astray, and they will never be tarred and feathered righteously, okay? They will never be tarred and feathered, all right? You get a lot of people. I made it a point of calling it what it is and shit. Okay? And I want to say, the black women say they're strong, independent, blah, blah, blah. They're the matriarchs and shit. They're the mother and the fucking father. They got rid of that lately and shit. They stopped saying that because, they know what it implies and shit when they look around. They've made bad choices. They've raised their daughters poorly and shit. Okay? They've raised them poorly and shit. And they discount our experiences, emotional and otherwise and shit, while big up in theirs and putting focus on all this bullshit and talking this oppression narrative, this victim narrative and shit. And men are just tired of hearing it. Black men are fed up. We're tired of hearing it. We're not going to be in a closet anymore with our issues. We're coming out of the mainstream. You guys are helping us out because you're so entitled. You have a white woman's level of entitlement normally and shit, okay? You think a lot of females who hear this shit, you think about the time when a man came to you and was talking to you honestly, emotionally and shit, and think about what your reaction was. You probably laughed at him and shit. You said he wasn't masculine or some shit. You discounted, you poo-pooed his situation. Think about think about all the times you saw a woman putting her hands on her son, in public and shit, and just beating on him, like, and then you always see the guy, and the kid always has like this muted response. You don't see the kid being overly violent or anything. And then if they do have these kids that have these emotional issues where they go into criminal behavior, they when they die, they make money off of them and shit. You still see the black mama up there crying and shit, with Benjamin Crump and shit. We're tired of that crap. We want something better. Okay? And if we can't get out of the situation over here, we're going to lay flat. Okay? A lot of guys are just saying, fuck that noise. Okay? No, they think about fucking, I just dropped a video about Michael Irvin suing an accuser for $100 million and all that shit. In our community, we're growing up and shit. The women just think they own you and shit. They own you like a property, you know? And you're supposed to just be on the shelf until one of them picks you up to clean up the mess they made of their own fucking lives and shit. We're tired of doing it. We ain't doing it. We're getting the fuck out and shit. And I want to call a little girl out. I want to tell you that, I think you're a fucking hypocrite, okay? You're a human being and shit. Age-wise, I am in lockstep with you chronologically. You ain't gonna tell me shit about nothing, okay? But I know what I heard. All right, and I'm just tired of your bullshit and your misandry, okay? So that being said, I'll leave you with this.
Niobe Way, a psychologist, professor, and founder of the Project for the Advancement of Our Common humanity at New York University, disconnection from ourselves and disconnection from each other. And it's getting worse. In the worst case scenario, the young American man social disconnect can have tragic circumstances. So, young men commit suicide 4 times the rate of young women. Younger men are largely responsible for the rising rates of what they're calling the mass shootings. Well, we know that, and we know which men are doing that. A trend some researchers link to their growing social isolation. Societal changes that began in the Eisenhower years have eroded. The patriarchy um, that once ruled the American home, classroom, and workplace. Women now collect nearly 60% of the bachelor's degrees. Men still earn more, but among the youngest adults, an income gap narrowed to $43 a week. So, scholars say in the new era of gender parity has reshaped relationship dynamics. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. I mean, a lot has changed out here. Like the way y'all interact with each other on social media and y'all talk to each other. We didn't do all of that. When we needed to talk, we either picked up the phone or met each other face to face. I mean, that's how it was done. But now the technology, to me, it's when it comes down to communication, I don't think it's always good, for friendships and even relationships. I don't think it's always good. So they're saying that scholars say in the new era, gender parity, reshape relationship dynamics, empowering young women, and in many cases, removing men from the equation. Women don't need to be in long term relationships. Yeah. But you know why? Because women today have been taught to focus on education and careers. And see, this is an America problem because one thing about America now, see, because, there are populations out here with low birth rate. Now they're whining that there aren't a bunch of babies and they're overturning Roe v. Wade. But see, if America would have propped up the family a lot more, you would have had less of a problem. But America don't prop up the family. America concerns itself with money. And money can only get you so far. When you don't have good social skills, which I mean, I'm not trying to insult nobody, but the social skills you young people got out here is far different from the social skills we had. It is really like day and night. It really is. And I can see it is taking a toll. And like like I said, you have this big gender war. We used to talk crap about each other, but not at the levels that I see online. It is very extreme when I look at it on the internet. It is extreme. And when you see all of the videos out here, we didn't do that. We did not do that to each other. That's why, you will occasionally hear me tell you, I don't want that over here. I don't, I really truly don't. I mean, there are differences. There are biological differences. There's difference in strength. There's differences in even the way our brains are wired. But we never let those differences get to the point where we were just on videos, just trashing the hell out of each other. We didn't do that. We took it only so far, you know? But to me, today, with the internet, that is way magnified now. I just can't believe the levels that I see so many young people go to just to insult and even hurt each other. I'm just telling y'all, it's way worse now than when I was coming up. I mean, yes, we would hurt each other, but y'all take it to the ultimate level, and I just don't see why, if things aren't working out with one person, then you just let it go and you move on. This is why I don't understand about black men and women. When y'all hook up with people of other races, why do you continue to trash your own community? You moved on to someone else. Move on. What's all this yapping is about? Move on. I just don't understand why you got to keep coming back and insulting each other. But that's what y'all do. We didn't do that. You folks out here that love having one night stands and doing those sort of things, your butts are going to be in a lot of trouble now. So now that it's going to be harder to get these abortions in the US, you're going to be in family court a lot. That's what it means. So it's not, this ain't just a woman problem. It's a problem for you men that like to lay around with women you have no intentions on marrying. You better start digging deeper in them pockets, because you're not going to be able to push the woman aside and tell her to go get an abortion. Them days are done. You may want to think a little hard about that.
This message has been paid for by the Dusties. Yes, the niggas you love to hate.